You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. This hour brought to you by the James House. You know, I said earlier they provide support, advocacy, and education for the people in the greater Tri-Cities region of Virginia. These are people that are affected by horrible things, sexual violence, domestic violence, and stalking. The James House wants to empower them to become healthy, safe, and self-sufficient. Now, all these services are trauma-informed. They're cost-free. They're confidential. And they're available in both English and Spanish. There's a 24-hour crisis hotline, 804-458-2840. 804-458-2840. Now, the service is available. There's safety planning, emergency shelter. Bottom line is the James House helps people in the greater Tri-Cities region of Virginia, Colonial Heights, Hopewell, Petersburg, and the counties of Chesterfield, Dinwiddie, Prince George, Surrey, and Sussex. They have 18 advocates that cover over 2,000 square miles of rural, urban, and suburban communities. And so your support for them is critical. Joining us now, a long-term sponsor for the James House and all the wonderful things that they've done, is John is with us, and he's with ITAC, ITAC, Industrial Turnaround Company, and they're going to offer a matching gift up to $3,000 to support the James House, which is, I think, a very generous thing to do. John from ITAC, great to have you, John.
Hi, good morning, John. Thank you for allowing us to do this on your show, and I'm a fan of your show. Recently discovered you and your show. Thanks for speaking out for all of us out there.
Tell us, John, a little bit about ITAC first, and then what you do for James House.
Yeah, so ITAC, we've been in business 32 years now. We're an engineering and construction design build firm. We do work in the industrial market, and so the James House services where a lot of our employees work and live in their communities.
And so your sponsorship and financial support of the James House, can you just give us a little insight in some of the difference the James House has made to people that things you've seen with your own eyes, John?
Yeah, we've been engaged with the James House probably for about 10 years now, and what we see is the breakdown of the family and the family structure, and as that starts to unfold, the challenges that families face with domestic violence and abuse. And that usually leaves part of that family in critical situation. And so what the James House does, it steps in and provides that safe shelter, counseling, and ongoing care so that family can begin to rebuild itself. And the worst thing is often the children are the victims of the hardships. And so, these are people in and around in our communities that are struggling. So we're just thrilled with what James House does in providing that. They need our prayers. They need our support. There are 18 advocates that are out there servicing. This is a very difficult job. And so we want to pray and uplift them, provide them the financial needs and support that they need to be able to provide these shelters. Often they'll come to us and say, hey, we need sheet sets for our beds. Right now they have 12 families that they're caring for. Mm-hmm. That's 32 men, women, children that they provide daily shelter for. And that changes. That changes every day, changes every week as they get people back on their feet and new people come in and need that care and love and support. So we're honored to be able to come alongside them and provide some financial support to them So we ask your listeners out there to offer that support financially that are helping these families. Jameshouse.org is where you can find them, and we're going to match your contribution up to $3,000.
So go to jameshouse.org, jameshouse.org. You can donate there, and it's going to go to your local community. It's going to go a long way, and John at ITAC is going to match it for $3,000. And just to give you an example, 22% of the people that James House helped in 2020 are children. I mean, think about that. 1 out of 5 people they help is children. 3/4 or 76% women, many of them battered, getting beat up by in abusive situations. So just to give you an idea, because ITAC's going to match this for up to $3K. $50 can provide a mom and her 2 kids with fresh groceries. That I'm talking about shopping at the dollar store for, boxes of macaroni and cheese. I'm talking about fruits and vegetables. A $100 donation can educate high school or college students about safe dating and healthy relationships, right? I'm for that. $500 can help support their hotline for 24 hours a day for a week. So there's a lot of different things here, John, that people can get involved in. Go to jameshouse.org, jameshouse.org. Has James House seen a surge in hotline callers since the pandemic, people stuck inside, spousal abuse, things of that nature?
Well, I think we see that going across our community, John, and as we see the stress level it goes up, people are isolated, and so we need that support to be able to, so that their advocates and the counselors can come alongside them, help them field these calls and the increases that they're having, to be able to bring, a new, caring, loving way in which they can be able to receive the care that they need, the shelter, the food that you mentioned, clothing. All of these are needs that a family finds themselves totally displaced with nowhere to go. And it's heartbreaking, and so
and John, as a result of that, it keeps women and men in an abused situation because they have nowhere to go. Right?
That's right.
And one of the things that has really been concerning to a lot of us about this, not being in school, unfortunately, when you go to school, that for a long time, John, as you know, has been one of the ways that you can detect child abuse, right? Kid comes with bruises or whatever, and so now that's gone. And so one of a lot of people's concerns, psychologists' concerns and others, health practitioners' concerns are that, kids are getting abused and there's no way to really find out, right?
Well, yeah, that all of these are, concerns that are being raised in our communities because of the very thing that you're talking about. Is it can go hidden, and look, most parents they try their hardest to make it work, but in an abusive situation, the kids are the ones that suffer the most.
Yeah, and so it's important that kids have somewhere to go, that battered spouses, significant others that are being beaten every day. If you have nowhere to go, you tend to stay there. So that's why this is so critical, John. And I want to give the hotline again. You might not be in this position, right? Like I'm sitting here, 63, right? 2 kids are gone, got one in high school, been with Ann for 25 years. I'm not going to be in this situation. Likely, right? That I'm just not. But I know people who could be. And that's why I need to have the number. 804-458-2840. Don't just blow this off and say, that's not me. Because it's somebody. 804-458-2840. 804-458-2840. That's their hotline. Write that down. You might know somebody in that situation, and when they're desperate, you want a number to call. Also, go to thejameshouse.org, the James House, put in thejameshouse.org, and then you'll be able to donate there, and John's going to match it up to $3,000. John, now we're getting into the Christmas season. Do things get worse or better, John?
Well, it's added stress, but one thing I want to emphasize what you said earlier about the schools and the schools being closed is sometimes that was the safe haven for the children. You know, to be able to leave home and be in school, that was their time where they felt safest. And they don't have that for them with the current pandemic that we've been struggling through. So, tensions rise. I know for me personally, I usually travel during the Thanksgiving, Christmas holidays to go see distant family, and we're not able to be doing those kind of things right now. And so that's affecting our children, and it's affecting our households, and to be able to see those that support us most. Which is our family structure. And when the family structure breaks down, then the kids are the ones that are suffering most.
John, you are so right, and I want to thank you. This is all about awareness. It's about awareness. I mean, we're talking about,
Sure.
Trump and politics and all that all day, the 2 Senate races in Georgia. But then there's just, there's people right now that are suffering that, they're not really worried about who's going to be the next, who's going to get inaugurated or how many votes Kelly Loeffler's going to get. They're worried about how they get their next meal. If they're going to get beat again tonight, they have nowhere to go. It's the holidays. There's depression. So people are in different situations. 804-458-2840. I give that number out because that's the hotline. If you want to donate, John's going to match it up to $3,000. And thanks for doing that, John. Just go to thejameshouse.org. There'll be a donate button there, thejameshouse.org. Corey in Williamsburg says, John, thank you for doing this for the James House. Going to get worse, much worse, I believe. They're going to need help.
John, we always want to be there for our community. Our community supports us through our employees and our families that are out there living in our community. So we want to be able to help and give back, and especially during this Christmas season and time. It's a great opportunity for us to receive the blessing of giving.
John and iTech, great way to end our show. Thank you for coming on. Last year, they had almost 1,200 support group sessions for survivors of domestic violence, sexual violence, and stalking. I mean, this is a real issue out there. Thank you for your help. John, thanks for all you do. Go to thejameshouse.org. Go to thejameshouse.org. We appreciate it.